Hey, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going to head back to 1996 for an R-rated action film. But before we get into it, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here. I would appreciate that. I also want to mention I started a Discord about a week ago. If you go to Discord, if you don't have an account, set up an account. It's free if you want to join me there and just search my name, Brian Rummel. I will approve you, and I have different categories: action movies, horror films, comedies, any kind of movies you want to talk about. I'll be willing to talk about it with you. And like I said, it's free, just building a little community, movie loving community over there, and we can chat about movies all day long if you want to. Like I said, it's totally free. Just set up an account and join me there. Just search my name, Brian Rummel. Today we're going to talk about 1996's The Rock. This movie came out June 7th of 1996. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes long. Had a budget of $75 million, and upon release it made 134 in America and 335 worldwide. So it was a nice size hit for Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer. I got to see this in the theaters that summer, and I love this movie ever since I saw it. Michael Bay was just coming off of Bad Boys, and I believe Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson were coming off of Crimson Tide. This was their next film. A matter of fact, it was planned this was going to be their last film in their partnership. They were going to dissolve their partnership after this film, but sadly, during production, Don Simpson passed away. Now, again, Michael Bay directed this film, come off of Bad Boys, and in this film, we have a great cast. We got Sean Connery as John Patrick Mason, or some people like to speculate as an older James Bond. Nicolas Cage as Stanley Goodspeed. We got Ed Harris as General Francis X. Hummel. We got David Morse as Major Tom Baxter. He's been with General Hummel for a very long time. They served together for a very long time together. William Forsythe's here as an FBI agent. We got Michael Biehn as a Navy SEAL commander. We got John C. McGinley as one of Hummel's men. And we got Tony Todd as one of the mercenaries as well. And there's other recognizable faces in this movie. It's a stacked cast, and everybody's freaking fantastic here. And basically, General Hummel had a bunch of men who died for him outside of Iraq during the Gulf War who were left to rot and die. And this has been weighing on him heavily. His wife had just passed away. And he decides to take his unit, go in to a military installation, and walk out with these rockets armed with VX poison gas and set up shop in Alcatraz. Nicolas Cage is a chemical weapons expert for the FBI. That's how he gets dragged into this. John Patrick Mason was the only prisoner ever to escape successfully from Alcatraz, so he gets bailed out of prison, although we've put him away and locked away the key, as they say during the film. And basically, they go into this Navy SEAL team. The SEAL team gets killed, and it's just Sean Connery's character and Nicolas Cage's character have to disarm these rockets and fight off these Marines and try to save the city of San Francisco. And that is The Rock, although an abridged version of what actually happens in this film, because there's a ton of action and a ton of other shit that goes on, but that's pretty much the basic plot. What to love about this film, because I do love this film. I do think it's one of the best. I think it's the second best action film in the 90s, number one being Terminator 2. And this film is fantastic, and I would even put it in my top 50 action films of all time. I love the characters here. Nicolas Cage is fantastic. By the way, that was his choice not to curse, or try not to curse. His character doesn't like to curse during the film. That was Nicolas Cage. That was his idea to do that. Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage are great together, and Sean Connery is fantastic here. And you can see why people speculate that that could be like an older James Bond, because he's an ex-spy. He got caught stealing microfilm that shows who killed JFK, about the UFO landing at Roswell, all this kind of government secret stuff. So I can see why people make that jump that this could be an older James Bond. And it's fun to speculate on that, but here he's just John Patrick Mason. And there's good layers to each of these characters. We get to know them as this crazy shit's unfolding. And the other thing that sells this film is Ed Harris's portrayal of General Hummel. He's a bad guy, yes, because he's threatening to gas a bunch of people and kill hundreds of thousands of people in San Francisco. But he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons, to get the government's attention about what they've done to some of the troops that have died under his command. He even says about how they weren't given a military burial. Their families weren't given any compensation. They don't even know what happened to these people that died under his command. And he's very frustrated with the government, the State Department, the military, and he takes matters into his own hands. So in his mind, he's doing it for the right reasons, for the righteous reasons. And even as the film goes on, especially towards the last part of the film, we get to see that he has no intentions of sending a rocket into San Francisco. His whole plan was to, under the threat of force, get this money from this illegal arms sales slush fund and distribute it to the families and pay the guys that helped him do it so they can get out of the country and live the rest of their lives in a a country that won't extradite them back to the U.S. And that's his plan. He never had any intentions, and I like that. The way Ed Harris plays it, yeah, you think he's a tough son of a bitch, but he's not heartless, and he had no intentions of gassing a bunch of American citizens. So I've always liked that about this film. And the action scenes, again, this is, I think, I said in my Michael Bay film rankings, this is Michael Bay's best film. And coming off of Bad Boys, you can see how his style has grown since then and the way he shoots action. This is a very exciting movie with some great action set pieces. The car chase through San Francisco, when the Navy SEALs come up through the sewer into the shower room and they get ambushed by the Marines. It's all well done. All of the hand-to-hand combat, the gunfights, the Mexican standoff towards the end. It's all handled really well, and it's unapologetically rated R and in your fucking face, and I love that about this film. It's violent as hell. Tony Todd goes full psycho by the end of the film, and he gets killed in a pretty cool way. When Nicolas Cage said, "You're the Rocket Man," and he gets shot through the window by the rocket and lands on that spike. All great stuff. They shot this on Alcatraz. Actually, the studio did not want Michael Bay to shoot this on Alcatraz, but he insisted and he got his way. They actually shot this on Alcatraz, which I got to visit Alcatraz and I got to stand in some of the locations they shot this movie in. And they shot other movies in Alcatraz. The Enforcer, the Dirty Harry movie Enforcer with Clint Eastwood, Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood. So it's not like the other production crews have not shot there. But a production of this size shooting there was pretty cool. And they actually held the premiere for this movie on Alcatraz. Again, the cast for this movie is stacked across the board. There's recognizable actors after recognizable actors, and they all do great work here. And all the characters they got to play, they get a time to shine. I mean, some of the actors don't as much as some of the other ones, but it's a great cast here. You can't go wrong with the cast here. And there's some funny moments. And some more trivia. Sean Connery didn't want to ferry back and forth from the mainland to Alcatraz every day, so he convinced the producers to build him a cabin on the island so he would not have to ferry back and forth. And they conceded and built him a cabin because it's Sean Connery, so no shit, they built it. There was actually a moment during filming, in the middle of filming, where Michael Bay got called away to meet with some of the studio heads, not the people, not Jerry Bruckheimer or that, or the people at the production. It was studio heads back at Touchstone or Disney, because Disney owned the company behind this film. And they were giving Michael Bay a hard time. And Sean Connery actually stood up for Michael Bay and told them to leave him alone. And after that, the studio left him alone. I thought that was pretty cool. And Michael Bay definitely does a great job with this film. I mean, Quentin Tarantino did an uncredited rewrite on this film, or uncredited script work on this film, just like he did with Crimson Tide for Jerry Bruckheimer. Some of the Navy SEALs in the film were real Navy SEALs that came in to play those roles. Overall, this is a great 90s action film. It's one that still holds up incredibly well. I just watched it last Saturday with my wife. I own it on Blu-ray right there. It's not available on 4K, unfortunately, and I don't know if we'll ever see it on 4K, but the Blu-ray looks pretty damn good anyway, and it sounds amazing. But yes, if you've never seen The Rock, I highly recommend it. I would give The Rock a 9.5 out of 10. I love this movie. A 9.5 out of 10 for The Rock. Have you ever seen this film? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. Great, would appreciate that. I'll be back soon with some more reviews, but until then, bye.